Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, what can we do with all these white pieces that we have left over? Well, I have one idea, and we're going to turn this to be pretty colourful. Now, all these pieces here were left over from some cutting projects I did, and they've sort of been hanging around my table. And so I need a project for them. I need to get them going. So here's what we're going to do, and we're going to use these. So use any inks, of course, it's not going to matter at all, but I figured that I may as well do some die cutting out of these. Now for me, when I'm going to colour die cuts, it is easier for me to colour first and then die cut, particularly because some of these are going to be a little bit fiddly. So I encourage you, if you have anything hanging around that you just want to use, you just want to get out of your way, and trust me, I've been looking at these for like the last month or so, and I've been like, oh yeah, I'll find a project for those. Yep, I'll find a project. Yep, I know I'm going to use them, so I'll keep them there. And truly, they've just been hanging around. So it was time to find a project, and the project is to colour them, then use them. So I have got my little blending brushes. Now I only have 5 brushes for everything. 5, that's it. Now these ones are color coded, which I absolutely love. And you'll see that I just, scrub them off on a piece of spare paper, which is that bit behind me there. And then I just go into the next color. So for this first one, this is the Gina K Red Velvet. The next one, I'm going to use again the same reds brush, and this is Sweet Mango. Now you may already absolutely have all of the coloured cardstock that you need, that you have on hand, but I tend not to keep a whole lot of it on hand. Sometimes I have the right colours, sometimes I don't. But I just felt I was in the mood for using some inks, doing some ink blending, and as you can see, none of these are perfect. I know we're going to be die cutting out of them, but also these inks smooth out a lot when they dry, which is beautiful. That helps me out. But this was just a really good way for me to use up my scraps, and it's okay that, you might have coloured cardstock that can do the same thing, but this was a good use. So I was pretty happy with that. This colour here is Wild Wisteria, and the last colour is going to be Light Carnation. Now there is a light, medium and dark carnation, which is absolutely beautiful. Now, for the die cutting, there are 3 or 4 sets that I had to really scoot through and see what I could find. To see what I had in my stash, this one is the Gina K Botanical Duos. This one here is this is called Christmas Branch, and that is from the A Pocket Full of Happiness. This one at the back here is called the Dainty Blossoms from Pinkfresh Studio, and the very first one I showed you was also from Pinkfresh, and that was the Curvy Leaves. Now I'm actually not going to use the Dainty Blossoms one. I found I had enough with the others that I had, but truly I just had to really scoot through my stash, see what I could find, see what I thought might work. But I think as you'll see in a little bit, I actually ended up including from Pink and Main, the Leafy dyes one. I thought it was going to be far too big, but I want to show you a way that we can just make it work, because we always make it work. Now, this Christmas Branch one, I love this. This is purely just leafy green goodness. This does not have to be, it has Christmas in the name, but let's be honest, Christmas is 2 or so months of the year that we're actually creating for it. I mean, some of them you might be starting really early and probably a lot more organized than I am, but really I only sort of go down that Christmas theme for a couple of months. Other than that, I want to make sure that I can use these themes all year round. So when I am purchasing things, that's what I'm looking out for. But I just want to show you, this is actually one that I did in the light carnation color. Look how beautiful that is. And I'm okay that it's not die cutting the whole branch. I just want to have them different. So actually I'm going to do another one in a different color, but just change it around so I'm actually getting the other branch on here. But I love this die. It kind of has that, this is a really good corner die, and that's one of the reasons that I got it. See how it goes sort of like it creates a right angle shape there, and that's really perfect for some of the creating like borders and things. So I'll show you, I mean, I have a whole lot of ideas I can do with it too, but I already have a couple of videos using that one as well. Now this one here is the Curvy Leaves, so I die cut a couple out of that one, and this is another one. This is the Botanical Duo, one of the ones from Gina K's set. And then the last one that, as I said, I thought this wasn't going to work, but I'm going to use the Leafy Dyes one, and again, I'm not going to fit the whole die on my little piece of cardstock that I have coloured, but we definitely can end up chopping it around and making sure that it works for the project that we have at hand. So here's this one now. I have die cut all of these. I think there were, and you'll laugh later on, I forget some of these. I accidentally forgot to add in some of the colours when I created my little rainbow here, but that's okay when I go to put the project together. Now also what you might be able to do is, if you don't have the dies, you could definitely sort of Henry Matisse some of these and just freehand cut, scissor cut some of these, leafy shapes, foliage sort of shapes, and I think you could come up with something great too. So don't discount it if you don't have the right dies. As usual, I will link these all down below. These are just basically my absolute favorites. They are the ones that I will never get rid of. They are just the perfect leafy foliage in my opinion. And it's just really great that I'm also able to use them all together rather than just one or two on a project. So I have these pretty much ready to go, and they look stunning, just as is. They look gorgeous. Now, as I said, those bigger ones there, I thought, are they too big? They just don't match the rest of the foliage, but I'll show you in a minute. Now, I have just taken out an oval die just to help me out here with the shape a little bit. This is almost the biggest one in the stacking set that I have. Again, I'll link it all down below. I love stacking die sets. They are so helpful and so handy. But before I do any die cutting, I'm actually just going to take a pencil and just mark this edge, because this is just going to help me. Instead of me imagining that there's a line, I will go all sorts of wonky. So for me, it just helps to have that little pencil line. I've done it on the inside of the die, so it'll get die cut off later. But you can just see a little faint line there, and that's going to help me with positioning. Now, first of all, I'm going to show you a couple of tricks, because I like to be able to adjust things. Not often do I know how things are going to look or where they're going to go, and I certainly don't make any of these cards beforehand. So when I'm filming these, this is just me playing. I'm just doing my card making, enjoying my time, and choosing to share it with you guys, because hopefully some of the tips are helpful and some of the things you can find helpful that you see on here. But this is just me playing, so I never ever make these cards beforehand. So I haven't got it all sorted off camera or got it all pretty and looking nice. So yeah, this is just how I suggest that you just play. Just try, see if it works, rearrange things. Of course, I'm trying to roughly go in the order here of the rainbow that I have so very carefully inked out. And with those big larger die, those leafy dies, like the purple one off to the right hand side of the screen there that I'm holding now, you just cut these down. Just make them a bit smaller, and actually I'm going to keep 3 leaves here, but in a minute I'm going to cut this down even more. So just, see what fits, see what you have. Now, this is also going to be like the first layer, so do not throw out any of those scraps that we have got there. And also, if you would like to have a giggle, keep an eye on that one to the very left hand of the screen. You'll see that that doesn't make it in, and I have no idea that it doesn't make it in until right at the very end. So scrap that color, but don't worry, we'll bring it back. It will feature, but you can just have a laugh, because I just for some reason am not seeing it in this moment. But anyhow, so I'm just putting things together where I think I want them to go. It's okay that they're layered on top of each other. It's okay that they're crossing over, because I'm going to hold this together so I can glue this. Now, if you had some press and seal, great. That's one option. If you have, this is the maker's tape from Ranger or Tim Holtz or one or the other. It does have really good markings on it, and that's one of the reasons I like it. So I'm going to use that. It is low tack. If you have some mint tape that is low tack, I have currently run out of my mint tape. I'm finding it so useful. And often it will have 50% off, because it is the scrapbook.com brand. They often have 50% off of all of their products. They're labeled their brand products. And so it does make it really good value, because there is a good chunk of it on the roll. Now, I have added glue to the back of these all of these little pieces of foliage. I'm going to give it just a minute to stick as I put it down, and then I'm going to carefully peel it back. Now, some bits did lay over top of others. So like here where I'm going to do it, I'm actually going to pick up that leaf and just put a dab of glue behind it, because it sits on top of the orange one. The red one sits on top of the orange, but this is going to peel back really nicely. Just go carefully and slow, and keep that tape, because we can keep reusing that. By no means do we need to throw this one out. And I just stick it, literally I stick it to my cupboard beside me or something beside me, and that way I just always look there first when I'm coming for some low-tech tape. Now, this looks interesting at the moment, but bear with me, I promise. Here I'm going to take the oval die that we measured at the beginning, and I'm going to use again a little bit of that low-tech tape, and I'm going to just tack this down in place so it doesn't shift. I really don't want it to shift once I have the design, you know, where everything needs to go. I want this to stay put going through my die cutting machine. Now, there's no real reason as to why I want to have the die going through the bottom part here, exactly where it is. You could have it up higher or lower, it doesn't really matter, but I'm keeping it down sort of low so that I can have the peak of a wee sentiment sort of coming through. It's going to be actually a nice bold sentiment, but it sort of peeks out from underneath because this is all going to be popped up. Now, at the moment, this, because it has run through the die cutting machine, is all fairly flat. It's all looking pretty flat. So we're going to change that soon. Remember I said don't throw out your scraps. Now, this is the Gina K Thank You, I can't remember exactly the name. I think it's called Big Thank Yous or the Thank You stamp set. I got this one very recently after I have had the big birthday stamp set from Gina K. I've had that for probably a good 6 months or so, and wow, have I been using that a lot. And then I saw that there was a similar designed one, but obviously with the word thanks, and I just really fell in love with it. So this is a new one to my collection. So I've stamped the thanks for your thoughtfulness, and I'm just going to trim off those extra little pieces. This piece of cardstock here that I did the coloured dies on was 4 by 5 1/4 inches to begin with, so it's just ever so slightly smaller than my card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. Then I'm going to run foam tape all around all of the edges here, and this is what's going to pop it up and give that little peek from the sentiment. Now, a couple of little things that will finish off this card really nicely. Again, this is a really easy card to create. You don't have to do rainbow. You absolutely might have the pieces of coloured cardstock. You might have them already done. You don't have to colour them from white cardstock at all. I actually think this would look stunning even just with any coloured foliage. Doesn't even have to be a rainbow, but I was going for the rainbow today. Now here's where I see this pink piece and I'm like, that did never make it in. And so my plan was to sort of have it beside the purple, but that's okay. I think I might put it in here a little bit now. And I'm like, okay, a little piece of this will look nice. And these pieces that I'm going to put on now, I'm going to really only glue the bottom of them. I want to have a little bit of movement in the card, a little bit of freedom, a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to really glue the bottoms and just give that rainbow, because it's all pretty flat at the moment because it went through the die cutting machine. So it's very well adhered, which is perfect. But from the scraps that I cut off earlier on, I've brought all of those back in. And even when you think there's sort of not too much more to use, even just a singular little leaf can go really nicely. Here I'll just add in, so I'm just going to fill in some of those little gaps. Now these are going to be much smaller pieces. These are definitely not sort of big, bold main pieces that are going up the back. But again, just a little bit of glue and it gives it just a little bit of movement is going to be perfect. Now, as I mentioned, some finishing touches. So this is one of them to add a little bit more dimension and a little bit more movement in the card, which is cool. A couple that I'm not going to do, you could also add in some Starburst pens, so like a little bit of like Wink of Stella or something like that, that would give some of these just a little bit of glitter, or you could add in some glossy accents to give some of these, make some of them a little bit dimensional, or just do little dots here and there. That would also look beautiful. I'm also going to add in a few little water droplets that were going to look beautiful. And we will just sort of sprinkle these in and about our foliage, just to sort of hide them here and there. And they just pick up that extra little bit of sparkle, that extra sort of glisten when you move your card from side to side. You can see that gorgeous white on white border that we have going on. And I think it's sort of adding another element to attract the eye when you move it. And it's just that little bit of glisten. And that's what the either glossy accents or Wink of Stella or some dewdrops or Nuvo drops or something like that. Anything little gems like this, all of those those little things are going to just, that extra little bit of sparkle when the card moves. So lots of good options. Now, if you were inspired by the video today, then I would love to see your versions of this, whether they are similar or not similar at all. You can sometimes just pick up one little idea from a video, or who knows. But if you'd like to share it with me, come over to our Facebook page. It's called Come Crafting with Natasha, and you will be able to join there and post photos and all those good things where I can see what you have created and reply back to you, which is lovely. I also have a few things down the bottom. One is my snail mail address if you would like to send me some mail. I love and appreciate the time of those who choose to send me their cards and things. Thank you so much. I have another mail haul video coming up, and then I'll be all done from Christmas, that's for sure. And then also there is a link to the Buy Me a Coffee page if you would like to support these videos and making sure that I can carry on producing these. Then there is a link down there as well. But other than that, thank you so much for being here. At the end of this video, I will have some more suggestions that I think would be really helpful and you might be able to get some more ideas from. But other than that, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!